When reviewing Zero Parades for Dead Spies, the latest CRPG from development studio Zaurum, it's impossible to ignore the all-encompassing shadow of the publicised events that followed their previous work, the fantastic Disco Elysium. On one hand, it's an exceptionally well-written game born from authentic experiences, and on the other, it's known for what happened at the studio post-launch. Whatever your view, Zaurum have quietly rebuilt on top of the remaining team to create Zero Parades for Dead Spies, an espionage RPG that aims to move on from the Disco Elysium series' untimely demise in a brand new world of socio-political intrigue and interconnected stories. But it comes with the pressure of recreating Disco Elysium's quality, which could feel like a poisoned chalice to a new hard-working team. However, despite Zero Parades closely following Disco Elysium's formula, it isn't a lesser facsimile. If you enjoy this review of Zero Parades for Dead Spies, you can subscribe to Play Save Repeat and hit the notification bell. Thanks. Zero Parades has you play as Hershel Wilk, aka Cascade, a spy for the communist superblock outfit, the Opera. Since a mission went awry 5 years ago, she's been in the cold until her handler sent her back into the field to Portofino, a place full of nightmares and ghosts, a city stuck between the whims of overwhelming powers. La Luz, a techno-fascist nation that uses pop culture propaganda. EMTA, the world's investment bank that aggressively spreads neoliberal supposed stabilisation to areas considered underdeveloped in their eyes. And the unflagging communist superblock, home to the Operant Bureau, the organisation Hershel represents. Each playing the game of espionage and subterfuge, whether through secret police and spies, or the brainwashing relentlessness of media. As you start the game, it asks, what kind of spy are you? You're able to choose between 4 masks: kinetic, charismatic, analytical, and custom. This allocates the number of base skill points into the faculty badge system. Zero Parade's core skills that determine the outcome of dice roll skill checks during conversations or action sequences. The faculty of action determines your physical prowess. The faculty of relation impacts social and emotion-based interactions. And the faculty of intellect functions of the brain. Faculties are tied to 3 ailments, represented in growing bars in the bottom corner of the screen. Action to fatigue, relation to anxiety, and intellect to delirium. The bigger a faculty stat is, the higher your chance of a successful dice roll by upping your starting value. But if you need to increase your percentage of success, you can choose to exert yourself by rolling 3 dice instead of 2, at the cost of filling whichever ailment correlates to the dice roll. And if you max out an ailment bar, you must choose a skill to reduce by a point, a constant tug of war between risk and reward. Unlike Disco Elysium, Zero Parades sets up Hershel's backstory before she awakens in a grotty apartment, much like Harry Dubois did in Disco Elysium. However, you quickly learn that not everything people say is the truth. This is spycraft after all. You know Hershel's past, but like her, you only know she's been ordered to meet her fellow operant, Pseudopod, for her operation brief. She finds him totally catatonic alongside a cryptogram that might hold the secrets to the operation. But when her handler orders her to leave, Hershel will do anything to avoid being decommissioned again. Player agency is a massive part of what made Disco Elysium tick, and it's also present here, allowing you to determine what type of spy Hershel will become after all these years out of action. Will she devote herself to the mission? Will she put the lives of others ahead of it? Will she become a nihilistic husk? Although, already knowing part of Hershel's backstory helps you make informed decisions. Choices impact how the story unfolds and each option passes time. Objects can be used to alter missions, or certain dialogue options can open unique story outcomes. You begin to realise how each civilian's story unfolds and merges into the wider world like one entangled thread, that's being split and pulled in 3 directions by battling powers. Children know no better than to watch techno-fascist propaganda in the form of a television show due to their school being shut every other fortnight. A market trader communicates in doublespeak, unable to trust the air with secrets, when the secret police could be listening to punish anyone going against the grain. A Portofino municipal policeman is blasé about investigating anything beyond his purview, accepting his role as a cog in what he sees as an unchangeable machine. Learning these stories presents a deeply fractured world that pressurises Portofino, a chaotic city being eaten from the inside and outside. Cultural fascinations overpower vulnerable citizens like trite pop music imported from the techno-fascists, and expensive fashion to work in unison with the investment bank's loan schemes, designed to cause extreme debt. Insidious propaganda is delivered to slowly ingrain authoritarian messages and apply pressure to the lowest rung on the economic ladder. Ideologies designed to make citizens and Ouroboros eating their own tail. Zaurum also lets you progress skills and alter the story with conditioning, a mechanic similar to Disco Elysium's Fort Cabinet. By playing the game and making certain decisions, you unlock different forms of spy conditioning. These increase skills and offer extra positives. but also negatives to balance, like being able to increase all skills by 1 point, but in order to use this particular conditioning, you can no longer upgrade any skills via skill points again. Your choice here, like the thought cabinet, drastically impact your version of Hershel and how you deal with conversations and the espionage specific sequences. These culminations of your clandestine operations are called dramatic encounters. When they occur, the game freezes and surrealist artwork splashes over your options. Hershel's brain heightens and zones into a spy persona. You can choose to deduce the situation, scouting out potential options, such as direct confrontations or swift exits, like in the bazaar where Hershel can choose to do a risky confrontation or stealthily blend into the crowd. Inevitably, you'll run into situations where you'll be gutted that you've failed a dice roll, but during many non-vital conversations, you'll be able to back out before doing the skill check, opening the door to using another feature directly from Disco Elysium, being able to quickly increase skill points by equipping clothes and gear which have the required attributes you need. Carefully select an item that adds the attributes you need while taking the deduction into account. Once fully kitted out, you can select a handheld item for further skill boosts, and even inspect books to learn from. With a temporary boost in place, Hershel can now pass a skill check and unlock a new route through the conversation. But it's also a mechanic that can be manipulated if people choose to save and reload until they get their desired dice roll. Although, reloading saps away the fun of leaning into your espionage persona, but it's still a good option if that's how you want to play. You also need to explore every nook and cranny of Portofino, from the bustling bazaar, the docks, and every street and alleyway. The map presents a vague guide, which acts as a fast travel system that I never used. It's the kind of world where I quickly memorised each road and landmark, a place where there's something interesting around every corner, and inside every accessible building. However, you'll soon stumble across locked boxes, doors and more, all requiring specific tools to unlock them. Like everything in Zero Parade's world, nothing is free, and tools are no exception. There's an economy to privately owned phone lines. Vending machines sell alcohol and food. Vendors sell clothes and CDs. And less reputable traders sell illegal medication and tools. While you'll pick up some tools through quests, things like a lockpick cost money, and you'll need to ration your expenses or find a means to earn extra cash. Even the communist opera are at the whims of capitalism. However, even working adds to your ailments and pushes you to find ways to reduce them. With an important day and night cycle, where certain leads can only be followed at specific times, you must balance Hershel's need to sleep in order to reduce a substantial amount of your ailments, basically refreshing your ability to exert yourself during dice checks for another day. Although, Hershel can use her many vices to lower them without sleep, submitting herself to a litany of negative side effects, another mechanic taken from Disco Elysium, but adapted to give a spy tilt on the themes of addiction and depression. Zero Parades is a heavily systemic game where each layer works in conjunction with each other, similar to Disco Elysium. However, here, all systems function to serve the player's spy fantasy. Each decision and action is a step closer to moulding your ideal operant, whether a loyal communist, a spy whose decisions are guided by past traumas, or one who is swayed by the pressure cooker of Portofino being squeezed by ideologies from all sides. But ultimately, what made Zaum's previous work one of my favourite modern games wasn't just the decision making, it was its themes and literary prose, with satirical political commentary, and an ideological through line in a rich and layered universe. Which is why Zaum have made the correct decision to set Zero Parades in a brand new world. This decision freed Zaum's new and highly skilled team to create a brand new world in crisis, centred in a semi-realistic city, in a stranglehold of an ideological war. Where Hershel and Disco Elysium lived in the aftermath, Portofino is alive with people contending with what's happening around them. Zaum returned to the Marxist themes of the bourgeois oppressing the proletarian, privately owned companies that benefit from keeping the working man below the poverty line, forcing them to seek respite by drinking from the poison chalice of the techno-fascists, a steady stream of controlling mass media propaganda, all while Hershel's communist opera tries to intervene against the socialists and everyone else. The perfect backdrop for a labyrinthian, morally ambiguous espionage RPG. Portofino is a character itself, a much bigger location than Hershel in size, but also in what its outcome will mean to the wider world. This liveliness is produced in expressionist oil-painted backgrounds that are subtly animated, and 3D character models, but differentiates itself from Disco Elysium with thicker brushstrokes to give propulsion to animations, accurately delivering a grimy cyberpunk aesthetic via nicely lit South American and European-inspired architecture. Thankfully, this precision and quality is represented in the writing right from the opening description of Hershel, where it says, "She was brilliant, erratic, cursed, an anti-personnel mine in human form." This continues through every character in unique voices that range from the verbose, poetic, Lynchian, and frequently satirical. None as impactful as Hershel's inner voice, the main narrator able to access all of her thoughts and feelings, and prod at her deepest insecurities and wants. A slow, raspy droll that offers a schism of opinions, often quick retorts that occur between hidden dialogue skill checks, whereas interactions during main and side missions contain the impeccably drawn characters Zaum are known for. All missions tracked in stylish cards in a journal. Each has rich backstories and personalities with clear or hidden motives. Some are pleasant, others are reprehensible, or positively outrageous. There's also a clear psychosexual theme running through repressive and internalised ideologies, the personal detachment that comes with spycraft, and how class has led to loneliness and self-sabotaging behaviours. Interactions that some people would find vulgar, and sometimes I didn't think completely landed, but other times made characters feel realistically flawed and layered. I'll avoid naming any characters to keep my review as spoiler-free as possible, but every character you meet has been shaped by their worldview and past, and forces far beyond their control. Whether directly tortured or forced to work non-stop to keep food on the table, everyone is at the mercy of the outcome of Hershel's mission. Portofino has a guillotine hanging over it, and you get to decide whether you can give it more time before the inevitable happens, or supply the cleanest of cuts. But unlike the original release of Disco Elysium, Zero Parades launches with a significant amount of voiced lines. It did take me a while to become accustomed to Hershel's inner voice, as it's slightly over the top like Harry's, but these surreal interactions work. The rest of the cast is mostly voice acted, bar a few characters at this point. Each performance just adds so much flavour to a character, it makes them feel more real and dynamic. Like the music trader, his pretentiousness jumps off the page due to the quality of writing, but when he speaks, his words get into you, and he really begins to feel ostentatious. Or another one that uses doublespeak, too afraid of being whisked away by unlawful secret police and thrown out of the city she was born in. Her caginess is clearer through the performance, emphasising key details to add emotional context. Also, a return of the wonderfully painted character portraits helps to create an even more detailed representation. Zaum's artist used the same industrial, post-impressionist art style with weighty visible brushstrokes, an attention to detail that continues in the energetic and stylish UX design, clear and intuitive menus and HUD elements to keep track of Hershel's ailments and the time. But it's composer Fernando Cabrera that has the heavy task of following C-Power's impeccable work in Disco Elysium. Thankfully, the main menu of Zero Parade sets the tone with an ethereal, melancholic track. Overall, the score isn't as grandiose, but in most instances, it's more subtle like the espionage itself, only growing into jazzier numbers when a scene heightens interaction, in a well-earned, potent culmination. This subtlety gives you a chance to hear the birds, boars, and many other sound effects that help bring Portofino to life. But when writing, sound and visuals are layered on top of the intricate choice-based RPG systems, the developer's almost encyclopedically detailed world building is realised with aplomb. However, Zero Parade isn't without a few flaws. Minor frame rate hitches happened in a few areas when sprinting through zoomed out environments. Certain dialogue bugs repeated conversations, and voiceovers sometimes didn't match written dialogue. A few animations didn't play out correctly when mantling up and down ledges, although Zaum say the majority of issues will be fixed in a day one patch. However, none of these issues hampered my initial nearly 20-hour playthrough of Zero Parades, and when you take into account different story routes and multiple endings, you could easily spend 30 to 40 hours plus with the game. Zaum have also included many positive accessibility features like changeable text sizes, dyslexic fonts, adjustable text speed, high contrast mode, text outline sizes, choose your own coloured text, auto lock onto points of interest, use the objective view to highlight objects, and for streamers, Twitch integration. Zero Parades for Dead Spies plays from Disco Elysium's playbook, and for good reason. It's a stylish book of complex systems, brilliant storytelling, and an interweaved mission structure. But the remaining and new creatives at Zaum have made the wise decision to rewrite the plot. Without straying too far from what made Disco Elysium special, Zaum have made another memorable RPG that sticks to the socio-political themes and culminates in a twisty, well-written espionage story. Regardless of opinion concerning Zaum's past, it's clear the future's bright, and the artistic vision of the developers deserves their own parade of recognition for the fantastic video game they've managed to create in Zero Parades for Dead Spies. 9 out of 10. If you enjoyed this review of Zero Parades for Dead Spies, please like and subscribe to Play Save Repeat to help us on our way to our next milestone, and leave a comment about the game below. Thanks for watching, until next time.